Hello, Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset, episode 185. This show is about anything and everything related to the Destiny franchise. If you love playing Destiny 2 as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, we get our first preview for upcoming changes to Gambit for Season of the Drifter, some big changes to hot weapons in the sandbox, and finally hear about your Crimson Bonds in the Dirt Fam discourse. Hello, Guardians, and welcome. It's AER0KNIGHT and Mr. CyborgSasquatch. Hey, buddy.
Hello, Guardian.
How you doing?
That's what I was told I'm supposed to say now, every week.
Hello, Guardian.
Hello, Guardian.
And welcome.
And no, that's your part. So I go, hello, Guardian, and you say, and welcome.
Oh, okay. We might have to practice this.
Okay, we'll get it next week.
It's been 185 episodes.
Yeah. Anyways,
close
how
enough.
you doing?
I'm good. Busy week. We're back to our Thursday night.
Yep.
Nothing too crazy. What about you, man?
Thirsty Thursdays.
Thirsty Thursdays, yes.
Thirsty for that
I just
bungo news.
Oh, I was just going to say I forgot my actual beverage, so hopefully I don't get...
Don't talk about thirst right now. I'm thirsty.
Please.
I've heard hive blood tastes good when you're parched, or something the Drifter would say.
Something like
that. He eats a lot of
that's going to be a new line in Season 6.
Yeah. Something about drinking one of their... He probably drinks Vex milk for breakfast with the cereal.
As he
pretty sure there's got to be a
on
Vex
Cabal
milk.
parts.
I think he said something about it being salty. Anyways,
like chicken.
You want to do a Destiny show?
I think so, yeah.
All right.
We should probably do that.
We can do that. I heard that we talked a lot about other games last week, so
yes,
I guess we'll talk about Destiny.
That's okay though.
No, I love it. It's cool. How about some announcements? Yes,
our announcements are that our announcements will be later. No, we did 2 giveaways, as you guys know, last episode, but they're still going on right now. We gave you until Sunday, and it's not Sunday, so
not in our time.
Basically. Yes, not our time, not podcast recording time. It is not Sunday yet, but as you're listening to this, Sunday was yesterday, so it gets really confusing. But we'll have already announced it on the socials.
Yep,
on our Twitter page.
Winners for things.
But it's like the past, and you're in the future, and giveaways get tricky.
We don't have time to explain what we don't have time to explain.
Exactly.
But we gave away a blue Yeti microphone, and we gave away 5 Forsaken playing card sets.
Yes.
So awesome. If you listened and followed us on Twitter this week, you got a chance to do those things. We appreciate it. And we appreciate that. So we'll announce it. Keep an eye on Twitter, and we'll announce winners of both those contests. We've gotten emails and speak pipes from you. We're going to feature a few on the show of who your Crimson Bond was or is. So we'll feature those later in Dirt Fam Discourse. And we appreciate your participation.
Yeah, guys, we appreciate it. Keep an eye on all the DRP feeds as usual, because we have other stuff to give away. We have more Forsaken playing cards, thanks to Lucas.
That's right.
And we've got a Ghost to give away, thanks to Davis. And we got all kinds of stuff. So
a couple things.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay. No announcements to solo any other activities before you've ever done it?
Oh, you did it. You didn't even get to reset.
I just had to give you a hard time.
I may try it. I totally might, but you guys have kind of scared me a little bit.
Arrow's going to solo Scourge of the Past. He's never seen the raid. So I'm just checking.
No, that was not it.
No, that was
Shattered Throne.
That was not it.
Hey, I'm honest. I just said, hey, I've never even set foot in this place, but
hey,
all this soloing talk
your gumption, sir,
has enticed me. But we'll see.
How about, now that we've got announcements out of the way, some news? You want to do some news?
Got a meaty twab this week.
Yeah, you could say that. Wasn't the kind of meat that I wanted served up, but we got a meal.
Yeah, a preview patch meat type of course.
Preview patch meat. That's the episode title right there.
Patch meat. Not necessarily new content, which we thought we would get at this point.
All right, we'll get into that.
We're on a roll.
This week at Bungie, the Drifter is preparing for a turn to lead the next season. And that's all you hear about the Drifter this week. In other news...
even the image was awesome.
Right?
The Drifters.
Way to tease me and then just let me down.
Yeah.
But first, a Scourge of the Past raid along, if you're interested in that sort of thing.
These are cool.
They say if you ever wanted to know what it's like to build a raid from the ground up, this is your chance to peek behind the curtains here at Bungie. Scourge of the Past raid along is Tuesday, February 26th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on twitch.tv/Bungie. Definitely go check that out. I love these, man. I love hearing the raid team talk about how they come up with these encounters and what inspires them. And this is this thing that we did in playtest that didn't work out. And this is why this is that way, super interesting. That's like what interests me the most about game development is that behind the scenes, like how it comes together, like the nitty gritty
especially
stuff.
With raids,
yeah.
Right? Raids, they're all cool, but
that's
the raid
like
ones
activity and world building is like really interesting to me in Destiny. I wish that
the raids are just so specific usually in their goals. It's just interesting, like you said, to hear how they got to certain things with encounters or this or that.
Because they've got to be such a challenging activity to create, right? But I'd really like to see them do some ride-alongs for some of the other social spaces and stuff. Like I don't think we got a Dreaming City ride-along, did we?
Oh, dude, that's what I asked for. You remember when Deej, somebody tweeted out months ago, like 3 or 4 options, and I was like, Dreaming City, please.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I want to know more about the Dreaming City development.
Anyways, but we've got Scourge of the Past to look forward to. And then next up, we get a preview on some Gambit-related changes that will come into play for Season of the Drifter. They've got some quality of life improvements that they've detailed here for us. So
these are great.
Let's go through these real quick. Some interesting changes here. First off, changing the third round of Gambit to a Primeval Rush Sudden Death. This will speed up Gambit matches overall and add a change of pace to the final round. What do you think about that change?
What? I just want to make sure I'm understanding this right.
So if it goes to 3 rounds, you'll from what I'm reading, you'll just go straight to a Primeval battle.
I think I'm gonna like
for sudden death.
My
I've heard
initial
this thrown
take,
out, like this idea specifically, and I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't against it because I think the problem is if you do truly go to third round, like a Gambit game turns into a slog, right? I think that's the complaint. Personally, I've never minded because I love Gambit, and getting to a third round meant it was a close game, and the heat was on, and I was like stoked. Like I like that intense competition there, but I guess not everybody loves that.
Yeah, I've already seen. Obviously, this went up today. I've already seen differing opinions on my feeds because people are like what you said. They kind of like it the way it is. Yeah, it's a little bit long, but I don't know, man. I initially think I'm gonna like this. I'm kind of in that zone right now, though, where at the beginning of this season, I guess a little bit into the season, I grinded a ton of Gambit to get Breakneck.
Yeah.
And I haven't played any Gambit since I got it, I don't think. And it's been a while. So I'm real, like my timing unintentionally is excellent for this next season because I've started to notice, like even this reset, I'm like, I really want to start playing some Gambit again. So I've kind of went full cycle on my Gambit drive. So I'm just reading this stuff is getting me pumped. So maybe that's why initially I think I will enjoy this change. It'll be interesting, right? If it goes to a third round, will it be frustrating that the Primeval, everybody's on equal playing field, but the Primeval just spawns and you just got to kill it, right?
Yeah, and
will
it can definitely change
some?
like it's going to be interesting to see what the dynamics are because some of how a Gambit game plays out is dependent on how, like, there's resource management, right? Like, you can't keep your ammo and stuff up, but supers and things like that, and when you use them, can be really important. And so let's imagine a scenario where you're team A and team A wins. Let's say you're team A and you lose the first round. Okay. Then you come back in the second round and you win, but you expend some super resources to do that, but you have to get the round. Okay.
Right.
So you've used a lot of your super resources. Maybe you didn't regen all of them through orb generation, or maybe you made a bunch of orbs and this happens a lot. The match ends before you can grab the orbs on the ground. That can be an issue. And then you go into the next round immediately, sudden death. And the other team, they still have some of their super resources because they didn't beat the primeval, and they're able to get a quicker burn. There's no,
that's a good point.
Like the lead up time to the primeval in Gambit rounds, like it does allow you to do certain things to maximize your position when you get to the primeval, like, you know, generating super energy through orb chaining, or through, you know, who's killing what ads. You know, you can prioritize certain people to kill ads to generate super if they're low. You can build up your ammo reserves through killing ads because you start with, you know, a lot less. So that, like, there's a lot that goes into it on a higher level when you're not just throwing yourself at the bad guys, right? And that's what's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in a sudden death
that's
round.
a really good point. That'll be interesting. Obviously, they're play testing it, so it doesn't seem too broken.
That's what we always hope. You know, our hope is, okay, you guys tested this worked, right?
Yeah, right.
Right, okay.
It'll be interesting to see, yeah.
But I want to be open-minded because I'm just one person, and while I felt like Gambit was super enjoyable, I have a lot of friends that are, like, really don't care for it. And they've expressed a lot of reasons why, and, like, they're understandable. For some people, it's just not the mode. Like, it's not what they want to do in the game. You can't do anything about that. Some people, it's match length, or, you know, sometimes their experiences are, you know, queuing up in Publix, like, without a team. Like, that can be a bad time. There's a lot of different reasons, but I want more people to like the mode. And so I can kind of roll with some changes if it makes it more playable or more accessible, because then my friends will want to play it more, and there's more people to play against. People love it more. If it gets more support, Bungie does more with it, you know? So I don't want to just be a stick in the mud and be like, it's fine how it is, leave it alone.
It's always so weird too, man. We've said it before, like, we're groomed with these kind of games, our favorite game, Destiny, like, to want incentive to play an activity, for example, like Breakneck. And I think about Gambit, like, everybody, you know, it went over super well as they were leading up to the release and everything, and people that enjoy it still obviously do. And it's so hard because, again, we're so groomed to want an incentive, want loot or something when we decide what activity we're gonna play in Destiny. And it's like, if for just a moment we could strip that drive and it's like want of, like, this thought that we want some loot for doing what we're doing, and we just, like, looked at it like it was old school Mario, and is this fun? Like, what would we choose to play? You see what I'm saying? Like, would we choose Gambit? Would we choose Crucible? Would we choose Strikes? If there was not this incentive for loot, what would be the most fun to us? And that's kind of where I leaned with Gambit sometimes. Like, I think the mode is super fun, but then I go do something else because I'm chasing some loot, right? I don't know. I'm just, like, thinking outside the box right now. It's interesting. Yeah.
I enjoyed playing Gambit because it's one of the most fun things, even when there wasn't. And a lot of the time I'd be playing it because there was other things, you know, incentives to do so. And I've played it less after those incentives disappeared because I'm chasing other incentives. But purely on its own, like if I were to stack up different activities, like, and I was just like, okay, I'm just going to play one of these for fun. Like, let's say I've exhausted everything and played it over and over. I'm probably going to play Gambit before I play Crucible, before I run a raid for the 40th time, before I play a strike for the 90th time. You know?
Yeah. And I just thinking here, you know what my activity is, and that's what I did. Even when I got the loot for the weekend, mine was Trials.
Mm-hmm.
I need no incentive to play that game mode. I would get all my loot for the weekend from it and just keep playing it over and over and over again. And it sounds like that's kind of what Gambit is for you, at least right now.
Because I just like playing in the sandbox and fighting the AI, but then the unique aspect of doing that in competition against other players is what makes it fun to me. Like whose team can manage the scenario the best and the most efficiently and the most strategically. Like that's what makes it fun for me.
I think I may tweet this out, like something along the lines of, for a moment, strip away all the loot incentive. What is your favorite activity to play in Destiny if it was just playing it? I wonder. I'm very interested to see what people would say. We've stumbled on.
I think we'll get a lot of mixed results.
Yeah.
It's different for a lot of people.
So. Yeah, there's what we said last week. There's not one fun thing with Destiny, right? It's a lot of different fun things to do.
I think that's something that Destiny does well is that they present a lot of different ways that the sandbox and the resources can be utilized. That's something that they've done well. And like honestly, when they introduced Gambit, like that was a shocker. Like, just pushing, a new type of thing into Destiny was not like, I didn't have the imagination for that.
Yeah. Yep. Well,
okay. Let's go. Okay.
Way off on the first bullet point.
We'll talk about the rest.
A
lot of these are
hour and a half.
Straightforward and definitely makes sense. So next up, they overhauled how we choose the invader spawn location and increased the number of invader spawn points for each map. This should greatly reduce the chances of spawning very near or in direct line of sight of an enemy guardian. Makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
I would hate spawning in as an invader and immediately getting sniped, within half a second. It drove me nuts because there was just certain positions that were too predictable. And if you had a good team, like they would just be like, all right, everybody look at, one of the 3 or 4 spawns and just be ready to take them out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Cause you narrow it down to at least 2 real quick. It's like, where is your team not at and where are the enemies? They're not at either one of those places.
Or in the odd chance that you literally spawn in front of someone and take a shotgun to the head. I had that happen a couple times. It really shocked me. Like, what?
Yeah.
What is happening? Next up, implemented idle protection, which means that players that remain dormant for too long will not receive end-of-match rewards or infamy points. I wonder if this means, like, as opposed to getting removed, if you're just, totally AFK, I wonder if it takes into account, like, how often is a player moving? Like, are they spending a certain percentage of their time like engaged in the activity, and if they don't, that they don't get rewards. So that way you can't like stick a rubber band on your controller, right?
Yeah.
And just farm stuff.
You're not,
you got to be doing
like
things,
contributing damage or something.
Yeah.
Or emotes.
Yeah. Next, well, this is a special one. The Triumph Light versus Light can now be progressed by killing any Guardian using a super, not just invaders. This makes attaining the Dredgen title a less daunting task.
Did that one sting a little bit?
I mean, I'm glad that I'm done with it. I didn't have to kill myself getting this. Like, I worked on this while working on other Triumphs for that title. And it wasn't until, really I literally completed everything else, and I had like 1 kill left to do. Like I got all the others along the way. Now that definitely may not be the case for some or many. I think that requirement should have been different from the get-go, so I'm not like heated about it.
It was like the Ace of Spades one.
But if you get it this way, like have fun with your budget dredging title. It's fine.
There
you
got
the cheap one.
Too funny.
I gotta throw some shade, but no, this is a good change. It makes it achievable, especially when like you can't control how people are going to play.
Right.
And it may have naturally steered away because of some of these other changes coming up from the way that people invade now anyways. But either way, this will make it doable, killing somebody in their super. Sure. And then next up, this was the most interesting one to me. Adjustments to blocker types by deposit tier. A small blocker will now be a taken goblin with less health than the previous phalanx. A medium blocker will be a taken captain with more health than the previous knight. And a large blocker will be a taken knight with more health than the previous ogre.
Yeah, this was the most interesting to me as well.
I don't know which of these will be the most annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Obviously, there's a strategy going on here. Like the small blocker is a taking goblin with less health. I
hate taking goblins, dude. With their shield abilities. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, and in all like the Gambit strategy videos I've watched, like specifically thinking of Dado and those kind, it's always been about the strategy with when you deposit motes and when you keep them, and like the difference really between what you're doing to the other team isn't that substantial between some of them right now.
Yeah.
So like I'm hoping the goal here was to make the decision for each type like a specific
how are you interfering
strategy. Right.
Yeah. I get that.
Exactly.
And that makes a lot of sense. Like a captain is going to be a much bigger problem to the team than a knight because of his, for lack of a better term, I'm sure it has a proper term, but his bubble wave thing. Yeah. That attack was made by Satan himself. I'm pretty convinced. Like, if I could have that attack as a guardian, I would just be set. Just throw that thing all day at enemies, because it has like infinite range and it always seems to catch you no matter what you do. Oh man, people are going to rage over those taken captains. And they teleport. Oh my gosh. So putting in a 10 is going to be a good strategy. I don't know what these goblins are like. I can see putting in like 5s with a 10 or a 15 being really effective because the goblin is going to shield the other blockers. And you're probably going to see a lot less small blockers going on their own. Because on their own, like, what are they going to do? They're just going to shield themselves.
Right.
Shield another one.
Very
or
true.
Just shoot at you with their pew-pews. Yeah, it's interesting.
Plus,
I am not sorry to see the ogre go away, though.
Yeah, I agree. I won't jump into it yet, but I just thought about the changes we're going to talk about to shotguns here in a minute will also affect this, dude, because you can pretty much take your Aikilos up to any of these and absolutely melt them.
Right.
And that's going to change.
I'm so confused by the shotgun changes. I don't know what I'm going to be using.
I don't know.
It's so, we'll get to it, but it's so many different things that I really don't have like the knowledge of the sandbox in complete understanding that I can say, okay, well, this is how exactly this gun is going to feel once we do that. We're just going to have to see. But anyways, so all of these changes come with Season of the Drifter, March 5th. But before that, they're going to enable triple infamy for the final week of Season of the Forge, which is February 26th through March 5th. That's coming up here. So if you need, some rank resets or anything of that nature for dredging or just because, this is a great time to do it before the sandbox changes again.
Do it, Guardians.
So next up, we've got some sandbox changes. You want to go through these, man?
Yeah, these, some of these were expected. Well, hopefully expected. And then others are kind of random. But first off, of course, we're hearing from sandbox designer Victor Anderson. Preview of the 2.2.0, just like above. Linear fusion rifles. First thing on the list. This was interesting to hear about Queenbreaker. But anyways, linear fusion rifles as a whole, aim assist values will receive an adjustment to reduce effectiveness at very long ranges. Real quick, what they say is they've noticed these energy weapons dominating in Gambit for quite some time. First Sleeper Simulant, then Queenbreaker.
Right.
And they're, we all know. We all know. We've made them less forgiving so we can enjoy a change of pace. So what I said previously, aim assist values on linear fusion rifles will receive an adjustment to reduce effectiveness at long ranges. Queenbreaker, while it has high aim assist values by default, they discovered an issue where it was not honoring aim assist values that applied to other linear fusion rifles, resulting in Queenbreaker having over double the intended aim assist value. You don't say.
You don't say.
Man, I mean, you could point that thing like a foot, not even a foot. You could do it several meters, it seemed like, off of somebody's dome and still get the headshot.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, it was weird. But you know what? It was fun while it lasted. Mm-hmm. So, next up, linear fusions as a whole will receive a 10% damage increase in PvE to compensate for the above changes. So, kind of trying to do a little balancing there with the somewhat range nerf by increasing their damage a bit. So next up is the shotties, the shotguns. I don't know. Do we need to? We're making a few changes. This is the big one. How much of this do we want to read? Rapid fire shotguns and the full auto perk. So as a PvP player, I'm instantly like, what are they doing? But they dive into the PvE side of it first. They say that we're doing this for a few reasons, one of them being that the full auto perk feels far too important to shotguns in PvE. This perk effectively doubles the damage output of any given shotgun due to the rate of fire increase. I mean, it's obvious what they're doing here. Like, even after the Akilos change, and now we have threat level, mm-hmm. I mean, I still don't use anything else other than when I'm playing PvE, my EP shotty is still in my energy slot. I don't know. Do you run a full auto shotty in PvE still, or are you kind of experimenting more these days?
I usually will roll with threat level or
is it rapid fire? Threat level is, right? Because it's like it's better than
the threat
EP
level
shotty,
is a rapid fire frame. I don't know like the number breakdown. I mean, I use them interchangeably. I like mm-hmm. threat level more. It could could totally just be because I like the way it feels. And it's nice having that in the kinetic frame.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. As the kinetic slot. Yeah, you get an option there.
Yeah, it opens up other options, right?
I seemed like to see in my feeds that if you could get the trench barrel perk, I mean, that roll on it, that people were liking it more than
so like the great roll that you really want, and this I did end up with, I don't know if I ever mentioned it on the show, it was the second one that I got to drop a few weeks ago, and I got trench barrel and grave robber, which grave robber means melee kills reload a portion of your magazine. So there's some fun things you can do with that, because you can use the melee, like if you're burning something like a boss or a yellow bar, you can use that melee to like smack an ad that would give you the trench barrel perk, but then also reload your mag. It was fun.
Yeah, because I forget trench barrel is procced by a melee.
Yeah, you have to, now the way you have to do is
that.
you have to melee every 3 shots.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely fun, but I end up using the Ikelos shotty more because I want to use like a different kinetic, like breakneck or chattering bone or something else like that, or maybe even an exotic in that kinetic slot that, so kind of depends on what I'm running. Anyways,
I still run that EP shotty, but I don't have threat level.
Yeah.
So
Back to
breakneck and my EP shotty. Yeah. So anyways, they basically do say here that like you don't really consider using anything in PvE but rapid fire full auto shotties.
Yeah.
So they're hoping to inspire you to use aggressive frame or slug shotties even. And here's the changes. Shotguns will receive a damage multiplier in PvE activities, effectively doubling their damage. The Legend of Acrius is an exception to this. So
which is like godlike right now, by the way.
Yes, it is. Like I even infused mine, and I have an issue where I'm like I don't want 2 shotties, so I'm trying to get my loaded questions, so I have something else to run in my energy slot. But full auto rate of fire bonus for shotguns is now plus 10%, down from plus 100%. In addition, it no longer increases the shotgun pellet spread, which is, there's where PvP comes into play a little bit there in that bullet point. Mm-hmm. Default rate of fire values for shotties have also shifted. So real quick, aggressive frames are going to 55 RPM, down from 45. Precision, 70 RPM, up from 55. Lightweights are 80 RPM. Do you make sense of this?
Seems like they were lower. It says they were stated to be 90 RPM, but they weren't.
They actually weren't.
Yeah, so my guess is that if that's the case, maybe they were lower than that, and they raised it.
Yeah.
Because I think the goal is to raise the rate of fire for some of the non-auto shotguns, right?
Rapid fire. Yeah. Yeah, so for example, next up is rapid fire, 140 RPM, down from 200. Now this is interesting. They were previously natively 100 RPM, but due to the intrinsic full auto perk, they were actually 200 RPM. So they're going to
pretty fast. I mean,
yeah, it is crazy.
As fast as like Ikelos is, man, like it's hard to justify using, like when sometimes I'll swap to one of my characters and I don't have one of those guns on and I just want to run something real quick, and I'll run something like Retold Tale or something, and I'll be trying to attack something and it's like pacow, pacow. I'm
like a shotgun.
Oh my god, what is this? You know?
Yep. Yeah, that's why this is going to be interesting, because again, they're down to 140 from 200, and they also say they reduced the base damage for shotguns across the board to align with their new rates of fire on a per sub-archetype basis. So one more, ammo reserves for shotguns were reevaluated due to the increased efficiency of having more damage per shot. So my initial thought was like, oh man, I don't know how this is going to feel, because if you're not careful, like instantly this could seem like, man, we're having fun with these. Like, don't change something that's like satisfying. It's satisfying to shoot stuff with our EP shotty and our threat level, but there does come a certain point where, like
you don't want
said,
just one or two guns to be the only
I'm
option.
only running my EP shotty in PvE. Yes, I could run something else, but like we said with Gambit, like you melt anything pretty much.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a Titan and you throw on a little melting point beforehand. So I mean, I get where they're coming from with this. Like they want us to feel like we have a variety of energy options when we're playing the old PvE side of the game.
I'm hoping that the guns are still useful, and at least if they're not S tier, you know, they're AAA. But in the end, like, you don't it's like the Crucible. You also don't want shotguns to be the only option in the crutch for everything, you know?
Right.
Like I don't, it gets a little old, like having to sidle up and shotgun everything to death. Like it kind of makes me miss Destiny 1 DPS phases a little bit, you know? Yeah. Maybe that's just me.
No, I don't think so.
But there again, I mean, looking at all this, like there's so many changes here. It's hard to predict, okay, you know, the trench barrel's dead or this or that. I can't totally say that because it seems like, okay, they've doubled output, but then reduced RPM for some and adjusted ammo. There's too many changes. Of course, the first thing, and this was really funny to see reactions on Twitter, is I'm like, poor Fallout plays. The guy has spent so much time on shotgun testing, and here he has to go again with every shotgun change in PvE, you know.
And his golden rule, shotguns are inconsistent.
Right. And maybe this solves some of those issues because, I don't know. I know a lot of that comes down to like range and how perks affect things and like what you should expect out of certain guns. This may be more math driven and easier to predict, hopefully for him and for others testing it as well. Other content creators we know and love will be interested in how this breaks down.
Well, I'll be watching those feeds.
I know Mercules is going to be looking at these real hard too.
Oh yeah.
Good luck, guys. Godspeed.
Dude, I you got to respect what they do. Much appreciated. Like those spreadsheets and those tests. There's so much work put into that. We definitely appreciate it. I think I read this wrong too. The full auto decrease, the fire rate decrease, it's where I read it says, in addition, it no longer increases the shotgun pellet spread.
Yeah.
That actually isn't a bad thing for PvP. It'll keep that pellet spread tighter. I assume increase is spread. So I was actually reading it wrong. The tighter the pellet spread, the better in Crucible. Right. But with that said, they also say, we also took the opportunity to slightly adjust shotguns for the Crucible. I had no idea where they were going with this, but it's not as bad as I was thinking they were going to go. While shotguns will remain effective in the Crucible, we have toned down the range at which shotguns could secure a one-shot kill. So it's a classic statement. We have no idea right now. I think right now, due to Mercules and Fallout's testing, 9 meters is the like golden range right now where you can decently, fairly often with certain rolls of shotguns, Dust Rock Blues, etc., can get a one-shot kill.
Yeah.
So who knows what it's going to be now. If it's, shotguns, man, like when I go into the Crucible, it's hard not to run a shoddy somewhere in my loadout because they're so effective.
Offensive and defensive weapon.
Yes. Like if you get backed in a corner, it's always nice to have a shotgun. If you want to rush, it's always nice to have a shotgun. And it's almost like running your threat level or your IQ less in PvE. It's like, I don't want that. I don't want to always feel like I need to run a shotgun. But if this changes, we're only talking like 1 meter, then it's not going to be that big a deal. If it drops to like 5 or 6 meters, then that's a little bit different story.
It sounds like they're trying to rein it in a little bit. Yeah. But that's another thing they'll have to test again.
Yep.
So
all that good stuff.
Next up, oh man, this hurts. Additionally, the team has some information regarding balance changes for One-Eyed Mask Exotic.
We knew it was coming.
So in various combat situations, One-Eyed Mask has been too effective and become a non-choice exotic. I like that term, non-choice exotic, meaning there's no other choice for you to choose in PvP environments. So after implementing the following changes, we believe it'll still be potent if used well, but there will be more opportunities to counter it. The duration of the Mark of Vengeance has been reduced from 15 to 8 seconds. The way players refill health after a successful kill has changed. Before, it restored all of your health and the overshield refilled over time. Now, the health refills over time alongside the overshield. This should give a leg up when encountering situations where multiple people are fighting one person with the One-Eyed Mask equipped. Finally, Vengeance will no longer trigger for players in Super. This was making Supers far too potent.
This isn't like horrible. it's not like I don't think it's nerfing it into the ground.
It's fine for PvP.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's all. Sorry. I do that even on Twitter. I default to PvP.
Sure.
I don't.
But in PvE, this disappoints me.
Yes.
Now,
I get that. I
doubt
totally get that.
They're just doing this in PvP. So it's got to be sandbox wide. And what sucks is that in PvE, sometimes you need a lot of time to use that Mark of Vengeance to use this exotic well. Sometimes you've got to reload. You've got to get like what's funny with Mark of Vengeance is that if you're in front of a bunch of ads, it will be the most random pick of like what the mark sets on, and not always the most optimal thing to kill. It could be, a big orange bar, a yellow bar. It could be like an ad way at the back of the arena that was sniping you. And you might need some time to get to them. And so I liked the long duration because it gave you options to use it the way you wanted to or needed to sometimes.
Yeah. I honestly hadn't even considered PvE. I'm just so used to jumping in the Crucible with it.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, it will still be a good exotic, I think, just definitely less potent, but I don't think I have to say this is another sacrifice on the PvE side for the PvP club. Yeah. Always happens this way. And people complain about it for a reason. A
little more painful for you now than ever before too, because you pretty much almost main a Titan these days, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. It's my favorite thing
Never
to wear.
thought the day would come.
Well, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. A lot of testing.
Yep. Next up in Destiny player support, they give a preview of resolved issues. So part 2 to upcoming resolved issues with the 2.2.0 update. They're going to fix problems with various triumphs, mint condition, forged in fire, master smith triumphs, the calculated trajectory triumph. All these issues with these triumphs will be resolved. Problem with the eternal return emblem, which is the emblem that would keep track of how many times you conquered Dul Inkaru in the Dreaming City, which is the boss in the Shattered Throne. Everybody's been stuck on 0. So they're going to fix that. Another problem with the senior recruiter emblem in the Black Armory devotee bounty will all be resolved. Go check out the notes for more details. Finally, resolving an issue with the Relics of the Golden Age quest for Sturm. I'm not even going to get into that. It's like a 2-year-old quest, but if you have problems with this, they've got an explanation of what you can expect and how to complete that. It has to do with engrams in year 2 world drop engram behavior. Finally, movies of the week. We get a Destiny Fun Police taking on the movie of the week slot again, man. I wonder how many he's had at this point. It's going to be like 5 or 10.
Yeah. Plenty.
Born Again, a Destiny Fun Police montage. Go check it out. It's got a chaperone and, all those fun things. And then solo Argos on a Titan. Man, these Argos videos. Killer.
All over.
Now, last but not least for you hunters, along with 2.2.0, you will now be able to have a full view of your cloak when inspecting it in the character screen. How
Very
wonderful. Nice. Yes. Hunters are all about
fashion. I've been
fashion.
running my hunter again a ton in PvP with my last word. So,
yeah,
I'll take advantage of this.
Gotta see those cloaks, man. You gotta see the whole thing.
Yes. I gotta say, of all the class items, even being a Titan main, the cloaks are the coolest.
I think cloaks win. I mean, they're who doesn't like a cool cape or cloak, right?
Cape.
I mean,
very true.
Whatever class you are. I've seen warlocks begging for, some kind of cloak hood thing as part of their class stuff, and
Well, I read, that's funny you mentioned that. Maybe you saw the same thing. I don't know what they would do for Titans because I always have liked just simple marks. I don't want like huge marks. I don't know what else they could do with a Titan, but I did see somebody post on Reddit. Sorry, don't know the username. They said, maybe this has come up before, make the class item for Warlocks their, don't make the chest piece all a part of the same thing. Make it like part of that, their class item. Kind of like you said. What word did you use?
Oh, like a hood or like a
Yeah. Because right now, if you're a warlock, right, you put on a chest piece, it's like your whole dress, right?
Yeah.
I can use something
your
other
whole
than
cloak
dress,
or your whole
yes.
overcoat thing.
Yeah, I think their idea in general was like split that up, and then you've got possibly a class item there. Your robe.
Yeah, that's a good term for it, right?
I think that's what they said. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be cool to have your robe be your class item, and then your chest piece be like your armor that's underneath the robe or something.
Yeah.
That would make sense. Titans, I think, marks
cool.
are a cool, unique thing. And Bonds Arc too. Like, Bonds are pretty cool.
They're just not as
they're not as
cool
big
as they used to be.
Like, literally, they're just not as big and not as noticeable.
I loved getting the ones from the speaker in Destiny 1, dude, because they had all those cool holographic things on them. Yeah. And they don't seem to have that.
They don't do as
much
much with that anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's the class item, and especially when it's small. I know there's a lot to think about in this game, but
you want it to
small
bling,
class
man.
item.
You want it to show off.
They need to be like magnificent.
The bigger, more gaudy it was,
stunning.
The more proud of it I was in Destiny 1 as a warlock. Yeah. My favorite ones were the ones with cool effects and holographics, and
you'd have like a 500 carat diamond.
Yeah,
on
man.
Your arm.
Well, every time I come around, my warlock bling bling.
Yep.
Anyways, I don't know if we'll ever see changes to that, but one can dream.
This one was random with the hunter cloaks, which of course this is just viewing it, but who knows?
I mean, can we take a second to talk about the hunter cloak that's literally an old jacket? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think
this has got to be the ugliest piece of Destiny fashion that exists in 5 years. I mean, you put this thing on and you're literally, you look like the little 10-year-old kid that would like wear his hood like on his head to keep up with his jacket, but not put it on his body. Like that. That's what it looks like you're doing. And you're wearing this old, frumpy, dirty jacket that you found in the tangled shore in the middle of nowhere. Why is that a cloak?
I don't know. I'm super picky with my
what
cloaks.
What hunter
too.
would wear that as a cloak?
Yeah.
Come on. What are you doing to me?
Yep.
I don't know.
The ones that I wear, I like the ones that are tighter to your head too.
Like the equivalent of that for the other classes would be if the Warlock's bond was like a dirty sock around their arm, and then the Titan's mark was like a pair of boxer briefs hanging off their belt. You know, like there's no other equivalent in the game. I have to poke some fun. I'm sorry if you're like you were the world artist who created that. You know,
hopefully they created some others that are.
I don't know what to tell you. All we can do is offer my real feedback.
Hey, honest and
constructive feedback. Like you should have went like way deeper. Like you should have just went all in if you were going for like, you know, thrift store fantastic. Like you should have just made the whole outfit just even worse, and then people would have liked it more. That's all I can say.
This one's really getting you.
Yep. I'm not a hunter. I don't even care. I just think it's hilarious.
It is. I'm pretty sure I know what
sucked is when I was like leveling my hunter, and that's all I had for like 2 weeks.
Oh, that's the only one.
You know?
Yep.
God, how long do I have to wear this for? It's so ugly. All right. That's all the news.
That's all the news. Yep. Cyborg.
Yes.
How was your reset, buddy?
Oh man, it's been short and interesting so far. Really not a ton to do this week for me. I know Iron Banner's up. I really should go play some.
back to that incentive thing again. It's so weird, man. Like Iron Banner is fun, but I honestly kind of forgot it was up. But that may be because I have other things on my to-do list.
I'm just not drawn to PvP much.
Yeah, you really have kind of been on a PvP hiatus.
I don't know.
So many
it's
other
not
things
that it's not fun. Like I have fun, but there's so many other cool things to do. Like if
Gambit didn't exist, I bet you would have already been back in the Crucible.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm so interested in Triumphs for some reason. Like Triumphs just get me, man. And I'm like going through and just digging deep in my Triumph list and finding stuff that I can do. Like,
well, you were the Ghost Hunter back in the day too.
Yeah, well, I have all the lore things equivalent now. There's literally nothing else I can do but wait for every full curse week until the new season starts, which I'm sure there'll be some new lore to find there. But I finished, as I mentioned last episode, all the other books. And so now I'm looking at like, you know, character specific triumphs I don't have for like certain ability kills and like really out there stuff that I've never even looked at.
What's your triumph score?
Let's see.
We looked at it in a while?
52,750.
Nice.
It's respectable. Nice. I think the highest you can get is maybe 70 or so. I heard somebody, I don't have their name,
like in the 30s,
but I heard tale of a Guardian that recently maxed Triumph score.
I did see that too. Yeah. I don't remember.
Apparently the same Guardian was banned from something for doing account recoveries or something. I don't know, something like that. You know, people get bored.
Yes. I think there was an assist with PvP triumphs.
That might have been it. It might have been something like that.
I could be wrong, but yeah.
But I mean, that's cool. That's a lot of grinding, man. There's a lot of stuff to do in this game. And
well, I mean, hey, that's the hobbyist level right there, right? The triumph screen.
I kind of like just enjoy like seeing it. Okay, well, how high can I get this number? Like, I've gotten it pretty high now.
I mean, dude, it's Grimoire.
It's Grimoire like times 2 now, which I was begging for that to come back. You know, the only thing I'm upset about is that they haven't added my Grimoire score to my Triumph score.
Yeah.
Like, how could you leave that behind?
That's one of my favorite emblems too. I love whipping out those old emblems because I remember the date where you had to like find so many ghosts to get your Grimoire score. Was it over 5,000 or something to get the emblem when D2
during
launched?
The last like Age of Triumphs or whatever?
Yeah, dude. That was like the last thing I did for the last few weeks is just go. That. Finally, I went dead ghost hunting.
Yeah. After I like preached at you for 3 years. That's what it took.
It was a good while. It took an emblem.
And now I'm back yelling my Triumph score at you again.
Yep. It's a good
Full
time.
circle. But you know what?
I have more Crucible triumphs than you do, mister.
Oh, absolutely, dude. But you know, the sad thing is that those count for 0.
I know.
Does that bother you?
It's weird. Is it all Crucible?
Pretty much. I think that there's...
Because I noticed, I didn't specifically look at all of them, but yeah, I see when they don't count for anything.
There's some that you can do that are like easier, like on each character, if you do like the Crucible weekly, like you have to do it like 5 times and then that gives you like 50 points. And then there's like a handful like that, but all the medals and the match, but like all the different stuff. I mean, there's like a slew of them, 0 points.
It's weird. Yeah. I wonder, what the reasoning is. Because I mean, one of the first things I'm
a total fan. Like,
oh yeah, I'm sure you are.
If you're a PvP player, man, that would like chap my butt.
Yeah, and like one of the first things one of my first things on the to-do list was to get that Shaxx. I've mentioned it before. I think is it called Shaxx is Proud or something, that emblem.
Yeah,
and it tracks all your like gold tier,
right? Like your best medals.
Yeah, like rans and stuff like that. And I'm still, like, that's my triumphs. I'm just trying to increase that number on that emblem.
Those are cool. I don't know if I have any of those medals. So.
Yeah. So, Yeah,
that's something you can definitely show off.
Hey, that's the whole point, right?
Yeah,
that's
it's all about stuff
however you play the game,
be proud of and show off, and how you play the game. I have to expect the reasoning was that it's more likely for a hobbyist player that's going to chase those scores to not be a diehard PvP or just be interested in PvP. So they're like, okay, we don't want to enrage the PvE slobs, so we'll make all these 0, so they're not going to complain about they have to play PvP. But then, I don't know. I don't hear too many PvP guys complain about it. I'm just curious if that's like something that would bother
us
you.
PvP guardians will do whatever it takes to gain an advantage in the Crucible.
Absolutely.
We've had to do plenty of PvE content just to get said weapon.
Oh yeah, man.
Take it, and we don't mind. We'll do it. It's fine.
No, I get it. You guys definitely slum it down here with us and do all the hard stuff for the best guns.
But then we realize it's fun over there, and we.
No, but then you just disappear for weeks at a time into the comp playlist. So that's okay. That's cool, man. Some great players.
Well, see, I've talked about this with Sleeper. It took me forever to get the motivation to get Sleeper, even though it was good. I mean, it wasn't busted good.
Yeah.
And it's like Wish Ender. I really wanted Wish Ender to be good even after the tweak. I was just talking to their fan member on Twitter about this today, but Wish Ender just isn't potent enough in the Crucible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it still. I want it at some point just to have it in my collection, but if it was an absolute beast in the Crucible,
right,
you better believe I would have had Wish Ender the first day it was available.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Well, so those are so what I'm considering getting into this weekend is one of, or maybe all of 3 things. I might do some Iron Banner just because I haven't at all played this season. I'm considering maybe playing around with the solo Shattered Throne thing. I've put that off for a while and intentionally put it off because there was other things I was working on. But I've achieved a lot of those other titles and requirements for titles and things the best that I could. So now I'm well, maybe I'll work on that a little bit. And then I need to work on the quest line for that PvP gun that I always forget the name of. The pistol, the hand cannon.
Oh,
Luna's.
Which one? Oh, Luna's How. Yeah,
I haven't even
Sorry,
started.
I was thinking exotic.
Literally haven't even started the quest. I got to go do 10 comp matches. I'm just dreading it. But I'm I need to do these things before the next season because allegedly I'm going to go in and get Luna's next season. So
yeah, that's right. You said that.
Get the other quest steps out of the way. So
who knows, man? You might get the PvP bug again and dive.
Yeah, I know that I'll have.
You always
fun
enjoyed it
when I actually get in and do it.
You were always a fusion beast, man.
Yeah, fuses are still good, but I don't know how well they're going to do in comp. But
I do wonder. I did think about fusions because if there's any sort of decent nerf to that range on shotguns, fusions aren't being touched, and they are unbelievable in the Crucible right now if you're good with them.
Yeah, they can do well.
Range is ridiculous on some of them.
I think part of enjoying that gameplay style in Destiny 1 was I developed a really strong neutral game, but I don't play that way anymore.
Yeah.
That was that fit into my class build. That was a Warlock thing.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of how Warlocks are built. They have some play styles that can be aggressive and different stuff like that, but that's how I played it. Unless I was running Voidwalker and I was aping and stuff, Yeah. Anyways. So yeah, that's kind of the stuff I'm getting into this reset. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I haven't done a ton. I haven't played a lot of anything this week. I did, since we last recorded, I played some more Spider-Man. I did get the DLC. Yep. jumped in and beat the first of 3, and I started the second. It's cool how they set it up. They're like episodes. It's the whole thing is called The City That Never Sleeps.
So all the DLC is out?
Yeah, all 3.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that there's going to be any more. Yeah, so like 3, there's 3 inside of this thing. Yeah, called The City That Never Sleeps. The first one's The Heist, the second one's Turf Wars, and I think the third one's Silver Lining. And they're all connected. It was cool. Like the end of the first one was like cool. The end of the first one was like an end of a season finale or something, like something pretty big happens, and then it says to be continued. So really cool. I'm enjoying that. I'm gonna finish that up probably before I move to God of War or Red Dead or Tomb Raider. I haven't decided yet. Yeah. But I did the I think I don't remember if I said this last week or not, but I've been playing Spider-Man long enough now and sprinkling Destiny in, which usually it's playing Destiny and sprinkling something else in, that I'm like, it only has taken like a reset and a half, but I'm like back to. It's not that it was ever gone. It's just we talk about it. You have a downtime sometime, and you fit in more of other games. And now I'm like, I just want to play Like Spider-Man sounds fun and it's super fun, and I want to finish the DLC. But like, it's been a week and a half. Like I got to get back in. I want to do some Destiny stuff. And the Blast Furnace frame came up again this week, and I still don't have my Feeding Frenzy kill clip roll. So I jumped in and was farming for that again. I'm probably going to do some more of that. And the hand cannon's up, dude. And I really would like to have that Rampage kill clip kindled orchid as well. But it's fun just hunting those rolls. I did big news. And I had that feeling again. I thought it was going to happen when I went into the forge. I farming for the Blast Furnace. I finally got Le Monarque.
Nice.
Dude. Finally, like I love bows, dude. Like I did stop grinding the forges for a little bit, but I was hot and heavy there for a while, grinding the Blast Furnace and the hand cannon, and never could get it to drop. I'm like staying out of Berguzia because I don't. Is it still that the Jotun or whatever, however you say it, does it only drop in Berguzia?
No, I got it from.
Different? Did you get it from Gofanet?
Izanagi.
Yeah. Okay. See, I thought for some reason, maybe I just always thought wrong. Even when it first came out, you could get it in other forges. I was thinking for some reason you could only get it from Berguzia. I was like staying out of Berguzia because I did not want in any way.
You wanted to have a better
lower
chance
my
to get the other one
of getting the bow. Yeah. So
I think you would have had to have got it before Jotun was available. Like they weren't clear about how exactly it works, but I took it as like they basically time gated Jotun until Izanagi came out, and then you could get it and it would drop from any of those, you know?
Okay. I remember something. I didn't realize it wasn't the case any longer, but nonetheless, I finally got Le Monarque, and I'm pumped because I'm finally getting back to bows in the Crucible. I love bows, and I used them like a ton when Forsaken first dropped, and had a lot of success with them in the Crucible. I mean, you know, there's more effective loadouts if you're, you know, high ranked in comp, but bows, I'm pairing my Subtle Calamity with the Last Word, and it's so fun, dude.
Yeah, man.
It's like a quick crit bow shot, get out the Last Word and just tap real quick, they're toast. Which that's how I played with bows anyways before, when I used, I don't know, Ace of Spades or whatever. You just, if you can get that crit bow shot, they have no health left. You just hit them with a hand cannon shot and they're cleaned up. So anyways, getting back to that in the Crucible, that loadout, having a good time with it. I was pumped that finally dropped. I kind of want to toy with, I think you can do it with some abilities on the Titan, but I know you can drop a Rift, right, with a Warlock and one hit crit, I think, with
like with an empowering?
Yes. Cool. I'm pretty sure, unless something's changed, you can drop an empowering and one hit crit shot with Le Monarque.
Nice.
I don't know if you can do it with other bows. I just remember seeing coverage on the fact that it could do it. But anyways, I'm pumped to test that thing out. So I got that, and what else have I done? I think that might be the gist of it.
Reset's a couple days old, so.
Yeah, we're only just a couple days in. But yeah, I'm hoping to. No, I have ran some strikes. I needed, like I said last week, like 12 or 13. I need 5 or 6 strikes, and I'll have my loaded questions. Nice. So I'm probably going to polish that.
Yeah, somebody did clarify, by the way, and I do believe this is correct, that Nightfalls do count towards.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we got a tweet.
Yeah, and I looked and I was like, I think it's right, because I wasn't exactly keeping up with my count on that, but it did increase, and I think it was from Nightfalls on that character. So I think I need like 15, maybe more strikes. Which
is nice if you want to, of course, grind for a strike-specific, Nightfall-specific.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you want to go in and...
Yeah, I'm hoping to finish that in like the next night or two, be done with that. And then, well, I don't know. I think I might start diving into the Crucible a bit more. So,
all right, man.
Yeah.
Get ready. Are you going to go for like max Crucible cred next season and get that, what is it? Not Fabled. Is it Fabled? What's the 5,500?
Like, is it? I think it's Mythic.
There you go.
Isn't it?
Whatever the highest thing. Mythic? You ever going to go shoot for it?
I'm always so surprised they didn't make a Legend the top.
That's what you would think.
Talked about that before, because you're becoming Legend. But yeah, I would like to. I still want my Not Forgotten, but I haven't. Once I got Luna's and hit Fabled, dude, it's like I've ran some comp with some 5,500s in our party.
Like, from what I hear, it's tough to match up
And also, if you're like, I've ran with 55s before, dude, it is like you better be on
super
that
mega sweaty
A game. Yeah, like, I mean, naturally it's gonna be, but it is like, yeah, running that shotgun hand cannon loadout.
Yeah. Understood.
But yeah, I think at some point I'm gonna shoot for. I haven't hit Mythic yet, only Fabled. But I think I'm gonna at some point run for that 5,500. It might be next season.
Man, the most
we'll
rare
see how much
title
Gambit content we get.
Is going to be that Unbroken title. That is.
Oh, I know.
I think somebody
because you got to get
this season. A couple people that because you have to have, I think, 3 seasons of like top rank and competitive, right? So I think there's some people who got top rank that first season. Like the one before Forsaken, right? That's when comp started. But we'll see more after this next coming season. I know at least a couple people who are gonna.
That's my drive to want to hit it too, because I think I'm 6 of 10 in that. I'm always kind of tracking that one. I need a couple more Valor resets, and I think I'll be 7 of 10. But that one is the kicker, man. You got to hit top rank in 3 different seasons.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah,
like
that's tough.
When the titles first came out, I was like, I wonder if I could get all of them. And I started looking at it. When I finally got to that one, I was like, nope.
It's legit. It's legit. Yeah, I guess it's serving its purpose. If you see Unbroken, you're like, okay, all right.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's going to be rare and it's going to be prestigious. More power to the Guardians that achieve that,
Definitely.
So,
yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's our reset this week. How about some Derp Fam Discord? We got a few things to throw at you this week.
Yes, yeah. Got quite a bit.
All right. First up, we asked and you sent for your Crimson Bonds. Who is your BFF forevs in Destiny? Who's that fire team member that's always by your side? We asked for speak pipes and emails, and by sending one, you got a chance to win a blue Yeti microphone. So first off, we got a speak pipe from Glaive. Let's take a listen.
Hey, Destiny Reset Podcast. My Crimson Bond is my wife. We play tons of co-op games together, and Destiny is one of our favorites. So Crimson Days was a fun event. My wife normally doesn't like PvP, but I actually got her to play some Crimson Doubles, so that was a lot of fun. Love the show.
All right, Glaive, thank you so much for the speak pipe. That was an awesome one, playing some Crimson Doubles with his wife.
That is awesome, cool. Man. We got a few different like responses, and a lot of people mention their wife, and it's starting to make me pretty jealous. I'm not going to lie, but I admire that so much. I mean, how cool is it to be able to share your hobby, you know, with your loved one, and for you to be able to like bond and spend time together in that way. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And I know like there's a number of Dirt Fan members that play as a couple. There's a number of Dirt Fan members that manage to get their husband or wife into Destiny somehow, you know, and now they play or can drag them on. And I just think that's so cool, because there's so much, you know, fun to be had and bonding and friendship that can be forged when playing Destiny.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
love it. So
yeah, we definitely have it in the Dirt Fam, like you said.
Yeah.
I play with several on PS4 where they're talking to each other in the same room.
Yeah, there's a definitely
part of our
bunch
fire team.
in PS4 I know of. So
yeah, it's great.
Next up, we've got an email. All right, do you want this one or the next one?
You know what? I'm gonna take this
Okay.
one. You would. You knew I would do that. All right, we got an email from Michael. The reason, guys, is because it's shorter than the next one. Cyborg always loves those long emails.
Yeah, totally.
Yes, especially at 12:30 in the morning. Michael sent us an email. Good morning, fellas. Yes, it is. Good morning. 12:30 a.m. I am currently 38 years old and have 2 teenage daughters. In September of 2017, I suffered a really bad injury to my back. So bad, in fact, I had to medically retire from my 18-year career in law enforcement. I was 37 at the time and had never played a video game or even owned a system. My friend Ben had always mentioned a game he played called Destiny. So now, with a lot of free time on my hands after back surgery, I bought a PS4. Started in Destiny 1, Year 3. I got hooked. I had so much fun playing Destiny with Ben. I remember my first raid. He had done them all before, but wanted to teach me Wrath of the Machine. I was so bad, but was having so much fun. I got to the point where I started sherping Wrath myself. I would go into Crucible with him and just get wrecked. 2 kills, 25 deaths, things like that. Ben was always positive and encouraging. We have now completed all the raids, have been flawless in both D1 and D2. Memories I'll never forget and will have forever because of this game. I am even listening to your podcast. This game has brought me a lot of joy and friendships all over the world. Thanks for listening to my story and for all you do in the Destiny community. Michael. Dude, that's awesome. That's exactly what we want, like, all the time. I love those stories.
Yeah,
dude.
it's cool. I love, I always love hearing, how people fell into the Destiny hobby. You know, there's always a lot behind it. It's never as simple as, yeah, I just picked it up and started playing. Like there's always a friendship or a connection to the studio or, you know, why you keep playing. Like there's a connection for everybody. And I love that.
That's the cool part, man. That's why the community is so awesome, right? I mean, all games have that, but something about Destiny, dude, like it seems like there's been so many bonds and friendships formed, just in all the communities, just the smaller communities inside of the larger community.
Yeah.
Dirt Fam as an example.
Yeah. And I really appreciate like where this Guardian's coming from, where Michael's coming from. You know, the reason I got really into Destiny was because beyond like, you know, my love for the type of game in the studio and just all those things, like my friends were playing and it was an easy way for me to spend time with my friends because I had a kid now and like spent more time at home and like couldn't, you know, go out and have as much free time. And then not a lot of people know, but I also like got injured in a car wreck. And so, like, I had less energy to even go out and do things than before. And this was a hobby that was accessible in that way. And so I totally understand, like, where Michael's coming from. And it's really cool.
It's awesome of him to, share his story, right?
Yeah.
That's the awesome part of it. Share that part. Thank you for sharing that. And then just very cool to have met have a friend and have, you know,
that Crimson Bond.
Yeah, that Crimson Bond. There you go.
Okay, so the next email, this is the long one I get to read, but it's a good one. It is multi-part, and we felt like this Guardian had some great things to talk about, so we wanted to include it this week. So this is from Dan from Box Press Radio. He writes, "Good morning, Guardians. Crimson Days was an interesting event for me. I hadn't played since the first month of Forsaken. We had a trio of myself and my 2 best friends playing. One member of our fire team totally left the game, while another has begun to play nothing but Destiny due to time and financial constraints. My Crimson partner, Operative D, asked if I could come back and play some more Destiny with him for the doubles event. I was thrilled to have a reason to jump back into the game, even if the content was thin. We had a great time playing a bunch of strikes, adventures, and doing doubles, which we won most of. We even played really aggressive and generally crushed the other team, not falling back after taking the lead. So, in short, I think the event, while thin, was a great way to pull a few people back into the game, as I now plan to play a lot more, and will even buy the annual patch, which I had not yet done. Thanks for the giveaway. Also, my 6-year-old blue snowball is looking more like a yellow snowball with cracks and no faceplate."
That's so great, man. It's like Super Nintendo's like
when they would like start to the color would start to fade. That's funny.
Yep.
So the next he writes, "Also, I wanted to address the difference in Trials content versus the raid. You had mentioned that they were no different. That's a pretty big misconception. Trials require the developers to monitor balance and plan maps, rewards, and player base. A raid just exists once it is in the game. It doesn't require any work from the devs after it launches, or a minimal amount, so it makes more sense to pull assets off of a mode people aren't using as much when it requires that amount of attention, while a raid just is there for people to play or not. While I understand a lot of you enjoy Trials, me and my group never had any interest in that mode and only played it maybe once. We can't ignore the player base of Destiny has shrunk somewhat due to things like other games, lack of content for hardcore PvE players, and whatever other reasons, but it has shrunk. They have to manage the matchmaking to keep queues popping. As many people know, a death knell of a game is when you can't find a match for a mode. And especially when several modes don't have players, even if a game is going okay, the bad PR from that issue is a true threat to any game. They've shifted focus from Trials to Gambit, for better or worse. That's up to your personal taste. This means they don't want to split the player base in PvP with its smaller number of players with another game mode that would be a direct competitor. I think we'll see top tier PvE become more of a leaderboard system where the top players are rewarded, while the rest of the base still queues into the same matchmaking. So at the very worst case scenario, you're matching against really strong players. Thanks for reading my dissertation on Destiny 2. Keep up the great podcast. It's appreciated."
Such a good email.
All right. A lot to unpack there. So
yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing. Yeah.
I think he has some great points that in rebuttal and et cetera to what we talked about last week. So
yeah, I was going to say it was me that mentioned or compared the two. And yeah, a lot of fantastic points. I will say in like the old raids, they did have to follow up more than it seems they do now, because I mean, we used to knock Atheon off the ledge, and Crota was bugged, multiple different ways. But it does seem like now they don't have to. I don't know what the difference is. There's not a lot of follow up on the raids. The development of it and the soundness of the raids, I guess, are more intact.
So yeah, I think your intention, I think last week discussing it, I don't think you were looking for a direct comparison, but I think your intent
what I was comparing was
player base population.
Yes, like strictly. The only comparison I was making was the amount of players playing it,
right?
And that was, and hopefully the way I described it sounded that way. But what I meant was the amount of people playing raids seems like it's similar to the player population and the amount of people that were playing Trials.
Sure.
So the idea, and not this, I don't even think this has been said or hinted at from Bungie or anything, but the idea that they're not putting resources into Trials because not that many of the percentage, not a large percentage of the Destiny population is playing it, doesn't make sense, because the same can be said for raids. I'm sure there's maybe more Guardians playing raids, but I would think it's pretty comparable.
I think it's really tough to one for one compare these things, because So he has some
They're
great
definitely
points,
different.
but there's also other things to consider. Okay. He brings up the fact that, of like upkeep time and development time, right? You have to consider though that like straight development time of work that goes into a raid versus a team that works on the PvP modes. I have to argue that there's probably a lot more upfront development time in a raid than there is into the whole mode of trials. You know what I mean? Because you're creating like curated activities and an entire experience as opposed to like PvP maps that are used in more than just trials. The networking and the bones and everything that make trials like, so you're probably spending more time up front creating a raid and more time on the back end managing trials. Right.
Right.
But
yeah, because trials is
something that they've done intentionally in Destiny 2, especially after year 1, was they've really reduced the amount of support and, all the things that we got in Destiny 1 with raids that we don't get in Destiny 2, like heroic mode or, even prestige mode has essentially disappeared with no promise that that's going to return, because I don't think the payoff was there for the development time involved. They spent a lot of upfront time and then a very small player population would be playing it. It's kind of the same problem, right?
Yeah.
So, it's tough to like directly correlate those things, but either way, for Bungie, I think it's about, and I think this is what your point ultimately was, is they want to make sure that they're spending their time on things that players are participating in. Like, you don't want to spend a ton of development time on something that like 1% of the player base is playing 3 months later or whatever it is. Not saying that that's what Trials was, but I think that's ultimately like where your argument lied. Like,
right. Yeah. Yeah. It was the idea of, what their decision, who knows, speculating on how they make those decisions, because obviously there's a dedicated raid player base out there, just like there's a dedicated trial player base. But unfortunately right now, us trials players aren't getting that content and you raiders are. Granted, you're not this next season. So, I didn't consider that last episode either. This next season, there's no new raid.
He points out like they create the content and then it's there for us. And for the most part, like that's true. Like there's always bugs and things that they have to fix and different stuff that comes up with every raid, right? But it is fair to point out that with things like trials, like there's, constantly working on the matchmaking and the balancing of that and network stability and dealing with all the
plus
cheaters
trials,
and
while raids do it as well, trials, as we know, really brings out the strong crucible options, if you will, weapon options and exotic armor options and things like that. And that happens in the raids as well. But, that's the classic, you already mentioned it in this episode, tweaking things for trials that affects your fun in PvE. And trials definitely brings that to the surface more than anything else. So that's another thing to consider with, I guess you could say trials can negatively impact the overall game if something surfaces as broken in the trials experience.
I think what he said, what Dan said here that stuck out the most to me that really resonated, that makes a lot of sense, is how he pointed out that, and this is his assumption, I don't know if this is necessarily true, but the fact remains that essentially, like, by having a mode like Trials, when it's not as big as it was in Destiny 1, you are splitting your player base. And having even, you have to think about like even having trials in year 1 of Destiny 2 when it was not as popular because the sandbox wasn't there, they didn't like trials modes or whatever it was, like it was taking player base out of other modes in the Crucible and ultimately made those modes suffer when trials was live, So
right.
Like he brings up a great point of, they have to eliminate options to keep some part of the PvP base healthy, if you've got one thing suffering, but it's pulling from other, like even for instance, comp, like if trials is up every weekend, is comp going to be dead, Right. And so does that mean like
it's a lot to think
comp,
about.
Dies in the water because trials is too big? Like, how do you balance all that when the Crucible is not, as far as the player base is concerned, as healthy as it was at its peak? So I don't know.
It's weird. It's like how do you get it back to its peak?
Right.
Or another
What do you
peak?
do? Like,
there's so much to consider
where
there.
do you put where do you put your money? I guess
it's hard to even speculate and talk about it and come up with solutions. Just you and I talking about it. Imagine, being on the team and trying to figure out what to do. The thing about Trials is Trials was magical, dude. And while it did some other things as well, it was magical. It was an event every weekend. If you were involved, it was magical, dude. There's nothing really, no other way I can put it. It was fun. I look forward to it every weekend. Whether it's Trials or not, at some point, which they'll do, like we need some love on the end game PvP side of things, right? And that's what they're it's still baking. They're working on it, right? So I don't know. Even competitive needs a little bit of spice. Something, I don't know. I thought the Pinnacle weapons were gonna do it. There's a lot of opinions right now about rumblings of how the Pinnacle weapons, in a way, an opinion, have kind of broken the system as well, because people hunt those Pinnacle weapons, they get them, they're powerful, and then they don't have incentive. They feel like they don't have incentive after that. So there's even, like he mentions, leaderboards and things like that. There's a lot of ways they could explore into that area, ranked leaderboards or something to incentivize people to have, just a drive to want to play. Yeah. This goes back to the thing I said at the top of the show. Like, Crucible is just fun. Like, the incentive also is that it's fun, right? If you jump into quick play, is fun, man. Like, quick play is a good time. So there's just so much to consider, dude. There's so many different moving parts. I don't know. Yeah, I'm rambling at this point. I don't even know myself what I want out of PvP. I'm having fun right now. Like, if nothing ever changed, I would still have fun in the Crucible. But I just thrive on that thought of getting the magic of something like Trials back as an option.
It's a tough place, man, and I hope that they figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully. In the meantime, we got plenty to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I really hope it gets some love this season. I hope at least the competitive and some of the other options in PvP get some love.
Be interested, see what Pinnacle weapon comes up this next season. I assume we're going to get one.
Give those players that are interested in that mode some content to focus on, some fun things to do, I'm sure they're going to do something. Just hope it's enough.
Yeah. These are some great points too. Great email.
So appreciate the email, Dan, and your feedback. It's a lot of great points. And so if you're listening and you would like to offer some feedback on something we talked about on the show, or maybe you got a question or something we didn't talk about at all, whatever it is, send us some emails or some speak pipes or whatever you like. You can email us destinyresetpodcast@gmail.com or send us a speak pipe, speakpipe.com/destinyreset.
There you go.
Yep.
Anytime.
All right. Next up is where we give shout outs to our new Derp Fam patrons and supporters. Do we have any new ones this week?
We do.
I know
not
we saw
this
some
reset.
come through, but I don't know if we have their gamer tags.
Yeah, I think
right?
there's there's probably over the last many months 5 to 10 of you that are still pending out there.
Don't you want
so
your
if you're listening
shout-out?
and you became a patron, go check your Patreon messages.
Yeah. All right. But if you don't know what a patron is, go to patreon.com/Destiny Reset, where for as little as $1 a month, you can support the production budget of our show. You get a few perks. You get a shout out here on the show right now. You get your gamer tag posted on our website, and you get an invitation to a Discord channel just for Dirt Fan patrons and supporters, where you get to come and yell at me when I say silly things on the show, or ask AER0KNIGHT about chips, or whatever. I don't know.
Always welcome.
Throw memes at me, make me laugh.
You know, it's a fun channel. Yeah. I was listening to a podcast this week, dude, and they were talking about their Patreon, and it really just kind of set in with me. They said, like, patrons, like, straight up have no requirement at all to give their own money to support something they enjoy. And it just got me thinking, like, we thank you guys every week, but, like, really, like, thank you. Like, you go out of your way to support us.
But yeah, there's no reason at all why
it's
you would be motivated to do that beyond your own benevolence and appreciation.
Yeah.
You know, we don't like gate anything, or, you know, try to sell you anything. Like,
there's not tiers. There's one tier, and these perks we mentioned, and it's awesome, man. Like, we really appreciate it, and we always like to say thanks to you patrons, because it's very much appreciated. It means a lot to us. But even also, we mentioned just listening to the show, like downloading the show every week, like all that means a ton to us. Like that support is unbelievable. So it's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It means a lot, and it really does make a difference for us, in, you know, what we're able to do to manage the show and, like, make it better, and actually have a budget to do things that help get this out there to you. So we appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, Guardians.
Last but not least, if you're listening on Apple Podcast and you haven't left us a review, please do. 1 to 5 stars, your choice, but leave us your feedback. Ultimately, it gets us help. It helps get us seen and heard by more listeners just like you. So if you have yet to leave us a review, please do. Did you like my haiku? Boom.
Oh, man.
I didn't mean to do that, but I just roll with it.
Be done.
Yeah. Thanks if you've left us a review recently. I think we got a new one, right? Shout out to...
Yeah.
To... This is the part where you mentioned their name.
Oh, I was going to let you do it.
No, it's your job.
You did all, like, the build-up.
This is your job.
You have at this one. I'm going to let you have at this one.
Oh, God.
Sooth money?
Sooth money? Sooth money.
I was really trying to hold out so you could try to
set me up, man. Sooth money. Thanks for the iTunes review.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right.
We already said it. You guys download the show and listen. That's amazing support as well. So we appreciate it week in and week out. It means a lot to us.
Knowing is half the battle.
Yes.
Where can people find you on the internet, AER0KNIGHT?
You can find me on Twitter and YouTube primarily, and all the other
still
things.
Making them YouTubes, bro?
You know, man, I've been on a little hiatus just for a few weeks. Got kind of busy around the holidays, and I did make a video, I think,
when you're making that Spider-Man video, dude.
Dude, I know. I do throw up random ones every now and then, but it's mostly Destiny. Now that I have Le Monarque, I wanted to make a video on it, like, way back. But, you know, there's been so many at this point. I like to just throw up the clips and the weapon breakdowns every now and then. But anyways, yes, at some point I'll be throwing up another one. AER0KNIGHT, AER0KNIGHT. What about you doing?
You can find me on Twitter, CyborgSasquatch, Mixer, the same thing. Oh, gotta mention, it's already gonna happen by the time you hear this, but if you stopped by the Project Guardian stream this week, I appreciate it.
It's this Saturday.
I should have mentioned something on last show. Now I feel bad. I didn't think about the timing.
We'll tweet it out.
Yeah, we'll tweet it out. But thanks if you stop by the Project Guardians stream and support it. TakeThis.org. Great organization. Even if you didn't make it by, go follow at Project Guard, I think it is. Proj, at Proj Guardians, I think is their Twitter. Great group of guys, Destiny community guys. And TakeThis.org is an awesome organization as well. We talked about mental health, which is an important thing.
Yes.
Yep. And I streamed it. Let's hope that went well.
It's awesome of you to do it. Yeah, very cool. Maybe that'll get you. Again, we're back to this. It's past, and we're talking about the future, and now it's future. They're in the future. We're in the past. Maybe you'll start working up that streaming channel.
No, nobody got time for that.
Just for the charities.
Yep.
That's a good thing.
One time only. All right, that's the show, bud.
Did we say where they could find us?
Oh yeah. I'm slipping on my job. If you want to find us, you can find us at Destiny Reset on Twitter or on the web, www.destinyresetpodcast.com. That's your source for all things DRP, including links to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app of choice.
There you go. I think it's time to go cook up some patch meat and have a nice little meal.
I don't know, man. We'll see.
All right, guys. Until next reset, have fun playing Destiny 2 and take care, Guardians.